Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good Sunday morning to you. Looking live over M&T Bank Stadium on this game day. We're going for a five-game winning streak, I think. Good morning to you. Thanks for being with us this November 12th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's get right to your forecast. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with what our tailgaters are working with.
Yeah, you just got to play heads-up football out there today, right? You can't sleep on the Browns. But at the same time, weather-wise, we continue to look very good for the tailgate here. Now, crisp conditions, no doubt. Low 40s this morning on a north breeze, even with some sunshine today. Temperatures slow to climb out of the 40s, eventually into the low 50s this afternoon, but it takes several more hours to get there. Right now you can see Baltimore just at 46, so we've still got some work to do to get above 50 degrees today. Overall, just a few fair weather clouds. I think we'll see more of those clouds clearing out later today, more sunshine this afternoon. So a brighter day, and a day where we should get above 50 by a couple of degrees. The trend for the week ahead is certainly sunny. We'll talk about what kind of temperatures we might see coming up.
This morning in a city in crisis, the FBI continues to remain tight-lipped about the current investigation involving Safe Streets. But as Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost explains from the accountability desk, the latest probe proves the need for more transparency surrounding the program.
As the federal investigation continues involving at least 3 Safe Streets workers from the Bel Air Edison location, I want to explain how this investigation relates to the questions that we've been asking for more than 2 years. Mayor Brandon Scott, Monzi leaders, and the 2 nonprofits, Catholic Charities and LifeBridge, those are the 2 running the 10 different Safe Streets locations. They've all refused to tell us who the Safe Streets employees are. However, we've been able to identify a few of the employees, but that's only because of court records and tips from you at home, not because these leaders have been transparent. This is Ronald Alexander. Now, this photo came from a federal case file, so the quality isn't the best, but you can see him wearing a Safe Streets t-shirt, and he's carrying what federal prosecutors say was a bag of drugs. Now, according to plea agreements and these court documents that we obtained, Ronald Alexander not only pleaded guilty to drug distribution charges in 2021, but he also tried to use his position as a violence interrupter within the Safe Streets program to get out of a traffic stop with Baltimore police. And this is Ricky Evans. In his plea agreement from 2018, he told federal prosecutors that he was using the Safe Streets location he was working at as a meeting place for the Black Guerrilla Family, or the BGF gang. Also detailed in those documents, he told prosecutors he used the same Safe Streets location as a place to stash his guns and drugs. And then we have Vernon Harper. We don't have a photo of him, but he again pleaded guilty to federal drug distribution charges in October of 2022. And again, while working for Safe Streets. Now, in this federal affidavit that we obtained from 2010, Harper's name comes up, and it's because of his possible BGF affiliations. Now, we'll take a closer look at what's in this entire document in a few days. Now, the FBI won't say much about the scope of their investigation involving some Safe Streets workers, but sources close to the probe tell us it's involving possible BGF affiliation. Now, we did get a lengthy statement from LifeBridge, the nonprofit running this Safe Streets site in particular. Here's what they said. Part of the statement from LifeBridge Health: there is no reason to initiate any other investigations. This warrant was isolated to a single employee, and the Bel Air Edison site was his place of work. That was the focus of a search warrant. But we know that isn't true because the FBI executed 15 different search warrants, including David Caldwell. He's one of the Safe Streets workers that's now facing state-level charges because of an FBI raid. And 2 other Safe Streets workers also had federal agents show up at their house. And that's exactly why we've been asking questions of the mayor, Monzi, and the nonprofits running the Safe Streets locations. Questions like, will you release the names of the Safe Streets workers? When will you launch an investigation into all the Safe Streets sites? We'll continue to demand answers from city leaders to find out more information about how they're spending your tax dollars, and we're still digging for details about the latest FBI investigation into these Safe Streets workers and what could come next. At the accountability desk, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
In our 8 o'clock hour, we spoke with Juvenile Patterson, the chairman for the People for Elected Accountability and Civic Engagement, about whether or not Baltimore City residents can trust that Safe Streets workers are on the right side of the law.
The citizens of Baltimore want to be safe, and they want to have opportunities, particularly for people that were, formerly incarcerated, to help and be, a light within their community. But there is a level of transparency that is required, right? And, but from all the actions that we've seen, activities, from Safe Streets locations, things happening to Safe Streets workers, and now this FBI, investigation, it does, cause some concern, and people should demand transparency.
Fox 45 News has continuously pushed for Safe Streets and for answers about this program. We've got a full list of our stories on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
They know what they're doing. They know that if they commit a crime, they're going to more than likely go home.
Questions surrounding how the Department of Juvenile Services decides which kids get released after committing violent crimes.
And a chill settling in across the Mid-Atlantic. I'm meteorologist Wyatt Everhart. We'll take a look at your Ravens game day forecast and well beyond. Coming up right here on Fox 45 Morning News.
This morning in a city in crisis, the Department of Juvenile Services is explaining how they decide what offenders should be released after committing a violent crime.
The third decision that we could make is to release a young person to the care and custody of the guardian, and that is if it is a low-risk young person.
Now, many are telling Fox 45 News they feel that data that DJS is using is outdated, leading to repeat violent offenders back on the streets in Baltimore. Fox 45's Vincent Hill has the latest.
Inside City Hall this week.
So we go to the presentation. Okay.
A presentation by DJS Deputy Secretary Lisa Gary about how the department determines whether to detain or release a juvenile.
And we complete what is called a detention risk assessment instrument. That is an instrument that we've been using for the last 12 years.
A decision essentially made by the push of a button.
Once we apply the detention risk assessment instrument, we get a sense of a youth's low, moderate or high risk of failing to appear for court and or picking up a new offense.
But what's being considered a low risk?
I am deeply concerned.
Concerning all the way from City Hall.
We're seeing it in our neighborhoods. We're seeing it in all of our communities around carjackings.
To the streets of Baltimore City.
To get driven home? They drove them home after.
This woman, viciously beaten by a 12 and 14-year-old, arrested and released 2 hours later.
I should feel safe enough to walk home.
Even the 14-year-old's mother.
I don't know, I don't know what to do with him.
Calling out DJS's decision-making.
I think that some issues need to be addressed as far as dealing with the juvenile services system, because I've been going back and forth trying to get the help that I need for him.
And she's not the only parent.
The second time that he got in trouble for stealing a car and nothing happened, you know what I mean? I wanted to leave him there so he can learn his lesson.
Saying the department's risk assessment tool may need some calibrating.
It was validated in, I believe, 2015 and updated twice since that time.
An outdated way of thinking many feel has been figured out by those it's meant to oversee.
They know what they're doing. They know that if they commit a crime, they're going to more than likely go home.
A juvenile get locked up right now, he comes straight home back to wherever he was at.
Now, earlier this week, we told you about a 12-year-old who was arrested for armed robbery, then released just hours later. Well, get this, 2 days later, he was arrested again for the same offense. Unfortunately, these aren't the only problems the Department of Juvenile Services is facing. The agency continues to face scrutiny about how well they manage young offenders. Earlier this year, Maryland's Attorney General found problems with educational services, unsanitary conditions, boredom, and unsafe staffing levels. There's also questions about the effectiveness of their GPS monitoring system. So this past summer, a teen under their supervision was linked to the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. In August, FOX45 found over 100 youth were under GPS monitoring, but there were only 14 members of the DJS staff assigned to supervise them.
They're not complying with the terms that have been imposed, and they will continue to think that their actions are just not all that serious.
FOX45 has relentlessly covered issues within the state's Department of Juvenile Services, and you can read all of our stories right now at our website, foxbaltimore.com. We're looking ahead to a big day for Birdland, the division matchup happening right in our backyard, and why the Ravens defense is not worried about the Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson.
It is Veterans Day weekend, and the National Medal of Honor Museum is partnering with the NFL to pay tribute to our military members. During the Giants-Cowboys Salute to Service game today at 4:25, 16 Medal of Honor recipients will be taking the field for a special halftime tribute. Jim McLuhan is a Medal of Honor recipient. He's joining us now. Jim, thank you so much for your service.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you having me on the show today.
Oh, and what a weekend for it here, too. I mean, honoring our veterans all weekend long. Tell us about your story and how you were given the Medal of Honor, because it was something that you did in Vietnam. A lot of things that you did in Vietnam.
Yeah, well, it was one battle. It was 48 hours long that was zeroed in on. Of course, I went into the kill zone 10 times, was wounded 3 times during the 48 hours. Saved 10 Americans and 1 Vietnamese interpreter. But it took a whole lot of people to do that. Machine gunners, people with M16s, the Air Force coming in, of course, the Marines coming in with their Cobras, and actually the Navy was shooting from about 6 miles out onto the enemy. So
yeah,
it was 89 of us, and there were 2,700 enemy soldiers. 89 of them.
You get this medal, and you say it's not just you; it's 89 that get this medal.
That's right. That's right. It's I wear it for them. I wear it for those that fought in all of the wars, and especially those that gave their life for this country.
Just incredible. Well, and this is why the NFL wants to honor you. So, what will we see during the halftime special?
I really don't know. I mean, I don't know if we'll be down on the field or what, and they'll recognize each and every one of us one at a time. But we represent somewhere in the area of 44 million who have fought and worn the uniform of the United States of America in all wars.
Yeah, all wars. You go back to Vietnam. What is it like when you hear of other wars and other things that are going on? Does that bring you back to those 10 times when you went back in to save your servicemen?
Oh, yeah, it does remind any veteran of his particular experience in the war, and everybody has their own personal experience, of course, but much of it's the same. I really feel as if you're a warrior, you're a warrior, and whatever war you fought in, you should thank those individuals. And if you really want to thank a veteran, this is one thing I like to pass on.
Yeah.
Make sure that you live that freedom. Don't misuse it. Don't abuse it. Don't abuse somebody else's freedom, but live your freedom, because that will thank them for what they fought for.
Jim, I was going to say there's 10 times you went back in to save your fellow servicemen, and they make movies about that. But what you just said right there kind of solidifies the whole reason why we are celebrating Veterans Day and all those who have fought.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Of course, the Medal of Honor Museum down there has received a nice sum of money from a Ken Griffin. And as an educator, I want to mention that I'm really happy that young and old alike are going to be educated because of this man's generosity. And, you know, it's kind of like the quarterback. He's a quarterback, and he's throwing the ball to the museum, and they're going to catch it, and they're going to run with it. Let me mention the 6 core values: commitment, citizenship, courage, sacrifice, integrity, and patriotism. Those are huge characters to pass on to our younger generation.
Jim McLuhan, we will definitely honor you by living our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Enjoy Veterans Day along with the rest of us.
All right, our Tom Rogers there. This Veterans Day weekend, over 150 military members and their families got a special holiday meal. It's part of Operation Homefront's 13th annual Holiday Meals for Military. Families from Fort Meade, Andrews Air Force Base, and the Maryland National Guard were all given holiday meal kits. According to event organizers, it comes at a critical time for military families. They say more than 26% of active duty enlisted service members have reported some level of food insecurity.
It's important for our families and our military members to understand that America's behind them. You know, they're out there in harm's way doing great things, protecting this country, our way of life. And it's really important for them to understand that, you know, America's behind them and supports them. And on a Veterans Day, something like this where we can gather and kind of show our support, this is what it's all about.
This year, the organization says they hope to help more than 700,000 family members across the country. All right, rounding out our Veterans Day weekend, meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with a look at our forecast. 45, sitting pretty.
Yeah, a little crisp, right, Taylor? But as we finish out this Veterans Day weekend, which I love the sound of that, Friday right through Sunday, honor the vets. You know, it's going to be one of those days it's tough to push the numbers up much because we've got a persistent northeasterly breeze, northeasterly flow. That will continue to hold temps back a little bit. So now we're, you know, hovering in the mid-40s. We're out of the 30s at least across the entire metro area. But that north breeze, I mean, we've had a few gusts since midnight, up around 18 to 20. So, yeah, kind of a persistent chill in the air from the north. But there will be, I think, steadily more sunshine. So as we look at the game day forecast, a cold tailgate in the 40s this morning, but I think during the actual game we'll probably hover just above 50 degrees with a little more sunshine coming through. You see fair weather clouds drifting through the area right now. All the rain has been generally south of the Virginia state line into North Carolina. That area of low pressure is going to continue to move away off to sea and off to the south and east, leaving us high and dry across Maryland, not just the later today, but into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Very dry, quiet weather pattern setting up here. And that's really your headline. You know, that fresh chill holds today, tonight, early tomorrow. We're kind of back to 60 or so, even 60 plus most of the days of this week ahead. We have sunshine for days as well. Big Canadian high pressure cell up north of Montreal. And that's a clockwise flow around this, bringing the northeast breeze today, but ultimately will just kind of lead to a quieter setup in the coming days. And you see the nice mild ridge of air all the way up into Omaha, Nebraska, where the Terps had the big win yesterday out there in Nebraska. Mild air midsection of the country drifts easterly as we go kind of forward in time here. So these numbers that are very chilled now across the northeast being replaced by some milder numbers that are positioned to our west. So that milder air does work its way in as we work our way into the week ahead. Upper 50s tomorrow after a frosty start. Then we're going to go 60 plus for most of the week. I think mid 60s are very possible as we go from Thursday into Friday. Also, know that it's going to stay dry and sunny. I mean, for days to come, keep the sunglasses handy. Don't forget those in the mornings this week. You're going to need them during the day, maybe as you head out to lunch. I will say this, the next chance for rain really not coming in until probably late Friday into early next weekend, and that's still kind of a tentative forecast that far out. We'll see if that holds up. But again, kind of an abnormally dry stretch here for mid-November in Maryland, but I think most of us will take that. We like the sunshine. Back.
All righty, turning now to Sports Unlimited. The Ravens demolished the Browns the first time around, playing one of their most complete games of the season, 28-3 win in Cleveland. The big difference this time around, though, is going to be who will be starting as quarterback, right? So last time, Dorian Thompson-Robinson got the start with Deshaun Watson out on injury. That's not going to be the case today. Watson's good to go, and the Ravens know the challenges he presents as a dual-threat quarterback. But the Birds' defense says they're locked in and they're ready to go.
Obviously, it's Deshaun Watson. They give him all that money for a reason. So he's a great player, but at the end of the day, he's coming to our stadium with our team, with our defense, with our fans. So that play's going to be rocking. We're going to have it rocking. We're going to do what we need to on defense to get them jumping and just try to shut them down.
Good veteran quarterback, been in the league for a while, so got a lot of respect for him. The guy can, let it rip, and then, he's able to use his legs as well. So we'll be very prepared for it. A lot of confidence in Mike, the defensive staff, to have us ready for the game. So looking forward to it.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the injury report here. 4 players are questionable for today's game. Marlon Humphrey and Keaton Mitchell, they have hamstring injuries. Jalen Armour-Davis has an illness, and then Morgan Moses with a shoulder injury. Remember, you can catch all of the NFL action right here on Fox 45. Right after this show, watch Fox NFL Sunday Kickoff. And then at 1 o'clock, the Ravens will host the Browns right in our backyard. Of course, you want to finish out your sports-filled weekend with Fox 45. And the Commanders, they're taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Kickoff there will be at 4:25. All right, stay with us here at Fox 45 Morning News. After the break, meteorologist Wyatt Everhart has his exclusive 7-day here at the desk.
There it
Look at
is.
the bank.
Yeah, ready to rock today, right? Rock the Browns.
Rock them all now.
We rocked them last time up in Cleveland, so we'll see.
What if they come back with a vengeance, though, you know?
Yeah, well, my thing is this. We've won such big games lately, you don't want to go to sleep. This is what I call like a game that'll sneak up on you, right? So let's just keep it intense out there, right? Hey, weather-wise, we've got good football weather. Low 50s for the course of the game today. I think you'll notice today it's definitely going to be a little cooler than yesterday, even when the sun comes out. It's a cool north breeze. But if you are a sunshine fan, you love this week. I mean, it's just going to stay dry and bright, looking good, and a little milder each day. In fact, late week, probably mid-60s. So for November, right? I mean, this is nothing wrong with this forecast at all.
Nothing wrong with it at all. Grab the Ravens hoodie and you're good to go for Sunday for sure.
Yeah, a little windbreaker, break that breeze, you're good.
And then the sunglasses all week.
All week long. Don't forget them.
I like what you're talking about, Wyatt. All right. Well, enjoy your game day. Thanks for joining us this Sunday. And of course, we're back later this evening with some pretty good investigations. But we'll send you guys off. Have a great day.